You're about to watch 12 tiny decisions trigger billion-dollar earthquakes. One executive shrugs at a space opera. Another passes on a hacker fantasy. A studio sells a worthless add-on that mints empires. Each no births a rival universe that eats their lunch. This is a countdown of corporate oops moments with receipts. We'll map the straight line from a casual past to a cultural juggernaut. If you've ever wondered how a single meeting can redraw the box office map, you're in the right place. The twist reveals how near misses became someone else's forever wins. Number 1. Disney says no to a space opera. A young filmmaker shows up with a space opera that reads like a Saturday matinee myth, and the family studio that owns castles and mice shrugs. The theory argues that pass wasn't just caution, it was a handoff. A galaxy goes next door. The twist reveals why. In that pitch era, sci-fi still looked risky to a brand built on musicals and fairy tales. Space battles, droids, and a laser sword religion? Hard to shelve in a tidy kids line. Another studio says yes, and the fuse lights? The movie mints a fan economy you could measure by shelves. 3.75-inch figures, mail-away exclusives, boxed playsets, fan clubs form, conventions scale. The myth loops with the merch. Fans point to 3 anchors that align too perfectly. First, Fox's early commitment when others hesitated. Second, the franchise's value swelling over decades, far past a single box office run. Third, Disney later spends $4.05 billion to buy back the no. That check isn't just for films, it's for a self-feeding world. Toys, shows, parks, already proven at scale. The shrug created a rival myth machine, then forced a premium buy-in. One shrug at a space opera. Next, a headliner passes on a hacker prophecy. Number 2. Will Smith passes on The Matrix. The biggest star of the late 90s is offered a red pill and says no. Will Smith rejects The Matrix. The theory argues that single pass reroutes modern sci-fi style and stardom in one move. Fans point to the pivot. Smith takes Wild Wild West. Keanu Reeves steps into Neo and becomes the calm face of cyberpunk mythmaking. Black coats, green code, tinted lenses, suddenly everywhere. The Wachowskis pitch in a way that breaks the usual studio deck. No tidy logline. They talk philosophy, simulation, kung fu that bends time. Bullet time is a gamble. A camera rig circles a frozen kick, frames stitched into a liquid move. Risky tech. But the twist is how star power shifts fear and trust. With an unflashy lead and a director-first bet, the studio lets the vision breathe. The Matrix hits hard, then multiplies. A trilogy lands. Tech demos spread into games. Fashion copies the silhouette. Even the slow tilt of a camera during a lobby shootout becomes shorthand directors borrow. Wild Wild West, by contrast, fades. Reviews sting. Cultural echo stays thin. Smith later admits he didn't grasp the pitch. His no clears the lane for Keanu to define the genre. One no set a template for modern sci-fi. Another no swapped a fedora for a whip. Number 3. Tom Selleck says no to Indiana Jones. Tom Selleck saying no to Indiana Jones is the cleanest case of TV calendars rewriting film myth. The setup is simple. CBS locks him for Magnum, PI, and that contract blocks the fedora. The theory claims that single scheduling wall rerouted a hero's face and tone. The twist reveals how fast the slot had to be filled. The casting chase moves from the TV star everyone can see in the hat to the backup plan waiting off stage. Network rules stay rigid. No carve-outs, no delay. The role shifts, and a different rhythm enters the frame. Harrison Ford steps in and reframes pulp adventure with a dry, unhurried snap. It shows up in how he reacts to chaos, throws away a line, or lets a win land with a half smile. That mix becomes the template the sequels lean on. Raiders of the Lost Ark lands as a critical and commercial triumph, pulls top award attention, and sets the pattern the franchise then repeats and expands. Selleck's no doesn't stall a film. It forges a dynasty with a new face and locks in a tone you still feel in every whip crack. Casting Whiplash set a hero. The next no left a kingdom of rings on the table. Number 4. Sean Connery turns down Middle-earth. A legend is offered a wizard and balks at the map. Sean Connery gets Gandalf, and the theory argues the pass reshapes Middle-earth's center of gravity. The twist reveals why it matters. Connery reportedly didn't connect with the script, so the staff goes to Ian McKellen, who becomes the film's moral core. You feel it in small beats. The hush before you shall not pass, the warmth in Bag End, the stern edge at the council. Those choices stabilize a massive cast and keep the quest grounded even when the scale spikes. Track the courtship and the risk. New line bets on an ensemble, long shoots, and a fantasy tone that needs a steady hand. McKellen supplies it with wisdom and vulnerability, which the research notes as a key reason audiences locked in. Awards attention follows, and fan reverence cements Gandalf as the soul of the trilogy. Fans point to the deal Connery declined. Reports cite a rich back-end that would have become massive over time. He walks, and with that walk, cultural capital slides to McKellen, whose take sets the bar for on-screen sages. Number 5. Warner sells Star Wars merch rights. A studio treats toys like an appendix and cuts it loose. Warner Brothers looks at Star Wars merch and sees clutter, not a core asset. The theory argues that Single Move hands the mint to the filmmaker who wants it most. The twist reveals how. George Lucas negotiates hard for sequels and merchandising while studios chase only ticket sales. Warner hesitates on those rights, so the project goes elsewhere. Control shifts. That choice lets the creator turn plastic into leverage. Look at the loop that forms. Kenner takes the gamble and pivots to small figures that fit on a shelf and in a kid's hand. The scale lets sets, ships, and creatures multiply fast. Toys sell out. Licensing explodes. Kids learn the lore through blister packs and fold-out catalogs. Films feed demand, and demand feeds films. It reframes the entire narrative from movie first to brand first. Fans point to basic math that aligns too neatly. Early merchandise money outpaces box office. That cash funds the future, not the studio. Books, games, and more join in, all anchored by those figures. The model sticks. Number 6. Sony walks away from owning Marvel. Sony is offered the keys to a dusty comic shop. The theory claims they peek inside, grab Spider-Man, and leave the rest. On paper, it tracks. One hero with a clean brand and a proven fan base. Low risk, fast payout. But the twist reveals the missed map. The wider shelf of heroes sits untouched. Late 90s Marvel is in distress. Libraries get priced like yard sale bins. IP valuation gaps look huge. Sony bets that one mask outruns the field. It does well, but it walls off the bigger play. Interconnected stories need a roster, not a solo. Fans point to 3 beats. First, Spider-Man hits and keeps the lights on. Second, Marvel uses the leftovers to launch Iron Man and stack crossovers. Third, Disney buys Marvel and scales the machine. That sequence aligns too neatly. From Iron Man forward, the MCU snowballs. Box office stacks. Then merch and streaming multiply the take. One slate becomes a calendar. Holidays, summers, tie-ins. Spider-Man alone can't match the aggregate haul, and the research underscores that gap. Number 7. Disney pulls Treasure Planet's marketing. Disney canceling Treasure Planet marketing early is the quiet call that sank a ship. This theory claims the setup is clean. A space-age pirate film gets a green light, builds a hybrid 2D/CG look, and then loses its megaphone too soon. The twist reveals why the air ran out. Marketing is oxygen. As Disney shifts focus toward rising CG projects, support thins for a hand-drawn hybrid. The holiday window crowds fast with family titles. Screens fill. Ads fragment. You get less mindshare, fewer trailers, and weaker recall. Fans point to timing, competition, and strategy. Ads taper as other CG pushes rise. The film opens into a wall of choices. Awareness lags. The box office stalls near a domestic $38 million take against a reported $140 million production, which tracks with the research noting insufficient marketing. Specific beats stand out. Ad spend estimates lag peers. The release lands in a dense slate. Internal energy favors CG over the hybrid. The movie later grows a cult through home media, which proves the concept had legs once people found it. Number 8. New Line almost axes The Lord of the Rings. 3 movies shot as one bet. Then the money gets nervous. New Line runs a bold plan, but the cash burn and the clock turn that plan into a cliff. The theory argues brinkmanship nearly killed the trilogy mid-run. The twist reveals why the stakes felt razor-thin. Budget overruns stack with production headaches. 3 shoots at once means weather delays, set rebuilds, and VFX cues that don't pause. Leadership debates how much to trim and when to pull back. Stop now, and you strand a story that demands setup, crisis, and resolution across 3 acts. Trilogy or nothing matters, because the narrative payoff needs a full arc, not a chopped middle. Fans point to what followed, and it aligns too neatly. Returns surge. The awards sweep, crowns the creative bet, and turns risk into prestige. Aftermarket growth erupts. Extended editions add hours of lore. Home video sales stay strong year after year, and the library keeps selling the world back to new viewers. Number 9. Jim Carrey passes on Elf. Jim Carrey passing on Elf is the pivot that turned a loud, rubber-faced romp into a warm, rewatchable holiday ritual. This theory claims the project starts with Carrey in mind. High concept, big star, elastic comedy baked in, but the twist reveals how tone flips when Will Ferrell steps in. He plays Buddy straight, not wacky, earnest, naive. He treats maple syrup on spaghetti like a normal Tuesday. That sincerity reframes every gag. The Santa brawl reads sweet, not snide. The mailroom dance feels sincere, not parody. You get charm over chaos. Fans point to 3 beats that align. First, development roots favored a louder style. Second, casting Ferrell creates a softer rhythm, less manic riffing, more childlike joy, which boosts repeat viewings. Third, the holiday cycle proves it. Box office legs hold through December. Cable replays turn it into background comfort. Seasonal sales rise every year as families slot it next to tree lights and cocoa. It reframes the entire narrative. Carrey would have delivered fireworks. Ferrell delivers warmth you can play with kids and grandparents. Number 10. Paramount bails. Early on the MCU. Paramount helps launch a shared universe, then cuts away from the table. The theory argues that early wins blinded the studio to the compounding game. Distribution fees look clean. Ownership looks messy. So they walk. The twist reveals how that choice plays out. Paramount handles Iron Man, then Thor and Captain America, but never locks back-end control across the slate. Disney steps in and stitches the parts together. One owner, one calendar, one pipeline. Trace the deals you know. Early films run under Paramount's distribution banner, but Disney builds the synergy machine. Parks add hero rides and stunt shows that sell tickets and themed food. Disney Plus turns movies into on-ramps for shows, which push you back to theaters. Consumer products flood shelves, so every release echoes in toys, apparel, and games. Fans point to the math that aligns. Distribution fees pay now. Lifetime value pays forever. Cross-promo turns each title into ads for the next title, the park, and the platform. That loop multiplies revenue without new IP risk. It reframes the entire narrative from film-by-film bets to a brand grid. Number 11. Matthew Broderick was almost Walter White. Matthew Broderick was almost Walter White. A prestige anti-hero nearly wore the genial face of 80s charm. The theory argues that choice would have softened the menace and tilted the show towards safe irony. But the twist reveals why the past matters. Bryan Cranston arrives as the dad next door, then turns to darkness with shock value. You watch the khakis, the soft voice, the science teacher calm. Then the edges sharpen. He cuts his hair. He calibrates his lies. He learns how to enter a room like a storm that barely moves. AMC hesitates, but Vince Gilligan pushes his vision. Casting subverts bias on purpose. You trust the chemistry teacher, so the moral slide hits harder. Fans point to the method. Start ordinary, end monstrous, and make every step legible. It reframes the entire narrative as a slow chemistry experiment. The research backs the bet. Cranston, a relative gamble, anchors the part and pulls in awards across seasons. The show racks up critical acclaim, with multiple Emmys that amplify reach and help ratings grow. That halo brands AMC as a prestige home for cinematic TV. Number 12. Doubling down on the DCEU without a pivot. A studio floors it to catch a rival universe and keeps the wheel locked. The theory claims that refusal to course correct after early backlash froze tone, pacing, and logic in place. The twist reveals how the pattern's set. Key releases divide viewers. Heavy color grading, dour heroes, dense myth drops, and cross-cut world-building that races past character beats. The timeline expands fast. Team-ups arrive before solo arcs gel, so emotional buy-in lags. You get big third-act skybeams and city-scale stakes, but thin setups. Fans point to 3 signals that align. First, box office swings hard title to title instead of climbing. Second, critics stay mixed, while audience sentiment spikes on specific cuts and then slides on follow-ups. Third, leadership shakeups arrive late, so tonal fixes land piecemeal. Cameos fill trailers, but arcs feel borrowed time. It reframes the entire narrative as a calendar rush, not a character ladder. The theory argues every studio has a galaxy of near misses. Which no do you think will mint the next empire? What do you think is the biggest missed opportunity in movie history, and how did it impact the industry?